Yeah, and I think it's a bigger problem when, we think about certain lines of work. And I can only imagine how difficult it is because unfortunately, politics does end up playing a very big role. One thing I noticed that I always thought stood out the most, particularly when we had the 2016 Democratic primary between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, anytime the union allowed the rank and file to vote, they always voted for Bernie Sanders. Anytime the union only allowed the board to vote, they voted for Hillary Clinton. I'm curious, when it comes to dealing with pro-labor issues, how much of a stark difference is it between, let's say, union bosses versus union rank and file? Because I would imagine, just based on the experience that we had when Jen ran for Congress, that seemed to probably be as big a sticking point as any between whether a labor organization or even a movement, if you will, was willing to get behind her. Rank and file saw things one way, the people at the top saw it another way. And
they ghost us, though. So we don't get to have contact with rank and file. We don't get to even make a case. We don't even get to present it. It's sort of like they're just steered in the direction of management, and management is.
So from your perspective, why do you see that happening? Because again, it could be any circumstance. I understand completely. Sometimes you have to play politics. Sometimes candidates are not viable, so there's no sense in putting political capital behind them. Totally understand that. But it does seem to me that one of the big problems in terms of really achieving some type of a labor movement is that there seems to be a lot of stagnation at the top. Can you speak on that, however which way you feel comfortable with addressing it?
Yeah, sure. So I would say this, the International Association of Firefighters, if you were to have been able to follow it here not too recently, we just had a brand new general president get elected. And that individual will be essentially been voted and will be the new president of the International Association of Firefighters for the first time in just shy of maybe 24 years. Wow. So when you think about that in itself, and then the General Secretary Treasurer is going to change as well. So what happens at the highest level, and as it comes down to the local levels, like even myself, right? What the union, is it fair to say bosses or officers, what ends up happening is the relationships with the political candidates, you get to engage more than essentially sometimes the rank and file. And what ends up happening, the rank and file, in whatever the respective discipline is, they're doing the job. They're the boots on the ground. They're the ground and pound, making sure that the 911 calls are answered, the people in the hospitals are getting seen, whatever the respective discipline is. But then you have the other voted for labor leaders that are engaging with the all of the facets of the mayors, the commissioners, the senators, and all of that type of level of people. And what ends up happening is sometimes throughout their career, as they're starting to come up, they end up doing firefighter, and I'll only speak on firefighter specific positive bills. They either put their name on a bill against their party, they stood up or stand next to for particular items that you were going for. And what ends up happening outside of building either a friendship and or trust, there ends up being a partnership. And so that's probably what you see at those levels sometimes, where the administration that's essentially elected ends up having relationships, good or bad. I can understand where both sides sometimes wonder, how come we can't break that threshold, or what the other side is it's time for a change. How do we initiate it? Sometimes those relationships, it's hard to turn away and look at a friend that's been positive on your needs, but maybe on the global aspect has not met the need. So a lot of people are like, hey, why are you going that direction? So I hope that answers it, but that's what I see from my perspective.
And also I want to be clear that our issue, at least here locally, has not been with IAFF, has been with our AFL-CIO. So what we have, and I don't know if people understand how this works, that there's individual unions And then they're all part of the AFL-CIO, or not all, but a lot of them are part of the AFL-CIO, which is just this additional layer of bureaucracy that stands between rank and file and their elected officials. It's just this one more layer of person that's political. And in Broward, that person is an impediment to progress. And that's just all there is to it. And so that is what I find the barrier, is not with you, but with that.
And I do think that the bigger issue lies with the fact that there have been many instances where, you know, bosses will side with, dare I say, even anti-labor representatives. And that's when it becomes a very dicey situation. Could be something as simple as a representative who supports the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yeah.
Or, you know, simply, you know, has, you know, the finances that they take in are from horrifically anti-labor, you know, organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that ends up happening, then you're really caught between a rock and a hard place. But there is sort of this, you know, hierarchy respect to those that are at the top, and not necessarily wanting, you know, to start, you know, a political fight, because it's already hard enough to deal with the fact that we are a right to work state, that, you know, it's, as the Firefighters Union has said, it's not collective bargaining, it's collective begging. And when you have to do that on top of everything else, it does make this a lot more precarious. So I'm curious as to what we can do, whether through GenCorps or just locally, you know, what can we be doing to really help build the labor movement in South Florida in conjunction with what you guys do?
Oh, wow. So I would say this. One of the things that comes to my mind is right now, the biggest thing for any Florida, for any county or municipality that's a part of the FRS in our state of Florida, one of the big things right now is we are truly fighting for our life to save our retirement, period. Okay. That's number one. The legislators out of the Senate, out of Estero, that senator has come after retirement, and that would be number one. That's number one. And if
that's on the table right now, that's what they're pushing right now.
That's right now.
So we're going to need people to be contacting their legislators.
This is GOP State Senator Estero is his name.
Well, out of Estero, Mr. Rodriguez.
Out of Estero.
Out of Estero, Florida. Yeah.
So yeah. Who goes after the firefighters? Isn't that like, it's such poor form. There's no way for that to ever look good on him. Like, I don't understand who supports that.
Somebody with a lot of money who wants to see the pension fund. This is like a Gordon Gekko Wall Street situation. This is basically, you know, you've got an overcrowded pension fund and they want the money, and that's it. This is greed. This is full blown greed.
I'm disgusted.
And they know that money is there, and they know that if they get the right bill passed through Tallahassee, they'll get the money, and that's it.
Right.
You know,
right. And we're fighting for our families and the workers. Honestly, I couldn't be more sincere when I say we're in a full-fledged fight to just maintain. And if you were to say, you know, what are you maintaining? We're just trying to maintain that firefighters don't have to be 63 years old doing this job. I mean, the job is a young person job, and after 25 years of being 55, I mean, I know neither one of you are 55, and could you imagine from being 55? You're not there. You're not there. But I mean, think about going to, you name it, Hollandale Beach. Choose Hollandale Beach, a high rise, and a 50, 60-year-old male or woman has to go and climb those stairs and recover people, bring them. It's not
with 75 pounds of gear, mind you.
75 plus, correct.
No, it's meant for young people, and it's our job to then take care of those people that do that, you know, after the fact.
I mean, I have a very good friend.
It's like, you know, it's service.
Now, I have a very good friend who's now a firefighter up in Jupiter, and he loves the job, and he's just a few years younger than me, but he's not going to want to be doing this. Again, the job is really meant, you know, in a
I
way,
mean, there's parts of that job, I'm sure, administrative parts of that job that are suitable for older people.
But the physical,
it's a funnel.
Yes, the physical wear and tear of being a fireman, it's a 25 to 30-year job. And if you're doing it past that point, if you're not in an administrative role, it's beyond taxing. And I work out and I take care of myself, and I can't imagine the difficulty, even when you're young, carrying around 75 pounds of gear on top of potentially having to carry somebody. You might have to carry somebody who's 200 pounds.
Oh, absolutely.
And the odds of that are going up with obesity. Trust me. I mean,
so the firemen carry with all the gear on.
Even.
It's not easy, and then you have the wear and tear and all that stuff. And the idea that they want to come after this pension fund is just, again, it's the lowest form of human greed, because they are not anyone who's ever done physical labor in their life.
I just want to say, John, can you put up the link to the Florida legislature to the directory, so that we can have the link, people can click on it or whatever. And we just need people to be talking to their legislators and, flooding their phone lines and emailing them, because this is really not okay. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.